Isn't it fascinating how the smallest, most ordinary moments can end up changing the entire course of our lives? You might be walking through a crowded street, grabbing a quick coffee before work, or sitting quietly in a place you've been 100 times before, and then, suddenly, something happens. Or more specifically, someone happens. One little encounter that feels so random at first, but later you realize it was anything but. That's exactly what happened to Johnny Depp. And the story of how it unfolded is one of those reminders that life is always ready to surprise us. It's a story about love, but not the kind of love we're used to seeing in movies. It's not about fireworks exploding instantly, or grand gestures, or intense drama. It's about something quieter, something more real, a connection that grew out of a chance encounter. Let me ask you this before we dive in. Have you ever experienced something like that? A moment where you met someone without planning it, without expecting it, and yet, it stuck with you? Maybe you were standing in line somewhere, or maybe you bumped into a stranger who smiled at you in just the right way, and suddenly you couldn't stop thinking about it. If that's ever happened to you, you're going to connect deeply with Johnny's story. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Johnny wasn't out looking for love. Not at all. In fact, he was simply living his life, doing what he always did, focused on his craft, his passions, and maybe even carrying the weight of the chaos that fame often brings. But life has a way of stepping in when we're not paying attention. It has this strange timing, doesn't it? Just when you're not searching, when you're not forcing anything, something unexpected shows up. And that's exactly what happened. One ordinary day, in the most unplanned way, Johnny crossed paths with someone who would change his perspective. Now, let me pause here. Isn't that always how it works? Think about it. When you're desperately searching for love, refreshing dating apps, or trying too hard, it often feels forced. But when you're simply living your life, maybe even distracted, suddenly something real slips in quietly. It's almost like the universe waits until you're not looking to deliver what you need. So picture this. Johnny meets someone, and at first, it doesn't look like anything extraordinary. No flashing lights, no dramatic music, no magical sign telling him, this is it. It's just a moment. A conversation. A connection. But here's the thing. Sometimes the most powerful moments in life come wrapped in simplicity. This wasn't about big gestures. This wasn't about trying to impress each other. It was about authenticity. Just two people talking, laughing, and being themselves. No expectations. No agenda. No pressure. And isn't that the best feeling? Think about a time you met someone and you didn't feel like you had to perform. You didn't have to put on a mask or try to be someone you weren't. You could just be. That's rare. That's special. And that's exactly how this moment was for Johnny. Now let's talk about a myth we've all been fed. The myth of love at first sight. Movies and songs make us believe that if sparks don't fly instantly, then it's not real. That if you don't feel butterflies in the first 5 seconds, you should walk away. But let's be honest. Butterflies are fun, sure. They're exciting. But they don't last. What lasts is comfort. What lasts is trust. What lasts is the feeling that you can exhale around someone, that you don't have to prove anything. And that's what Johnny discovered in this encounter. It wasn't a dramatic explosion. It was a quiet spark. A sense of familiarity. A connection that didn't demand anything, but still felt meaningful. Now, instead of rushing into anything, Johnny let the connection breathe. He didn't force it. He didn't label it right away. He allowed it to unfold naturally, like turning the pages of a book without skipping ahead. And that's something we can all learn from. Think of it like planting a seed. You don't throw it in the soil and then demand that it turn into a tree the very next day. You nurture it. You water it. You give it space. You wait. And then, slowly but surely, something beautiful begins to grow. That's how love works too. And that's how Johnny allowed this connection to grow, slowly, gently, without pressure. Now, let's make this personal again. Have you ever rushed into something because it felt exciting at first, only to realize later that it burned out too quickly? It happens to all of us. But the kind of love that lasts, the kind that surprises us, like Johnny's, often grows quietly, patiently, and without a script. And here's the twist. Later, Johnny discovered something deeper about this person. It wasn't just that they made him laugh or feel comfortable. It wasn't just the easy conversations or the shared silences. It was something more. He realized that this wasn't just a connection built on surface-level attraction. This was someone who mirrored his values. Someone who shared his passions. Someone who connected with him not just on an emotional level, but on a soulful one. And let me tell you, that's rare. Think about how many people you meet in your life. You might click with a few, laugh with a few, even feel sparks with a few. But how often do you meet someone who truly reflects your inner world? Someone whose values align with yours, whose passions resonate with your own? That's the kind of connection that doesn't just fade. That's the kind that leaves a mark. And isn't that what we're all searching for deep down? Not just chemistry, not just excitement, but alignment. That sense that you're not just walking next to someone, but you're walking in the same direction. Now, let's pull back again and talk about the bigger lessons here. Because honestly, Johnny's story isn't just about him. It's about all of us. The first lesson is this: don't chase, notice. How often are we so busy running after what we think we want that we miss what's already right in front of us? Maybe the person you're meant to meet isn't on the dating app. Maybe they're in the same coffee shop you visit every morning. Maybe they're the friend you've known for years but never really noticed until recently. Sometimes the best connections happen when we slow down enough to actually see them. The second lesson: value comfort over chemistry. Sure, sparks feel good. They give you a rush. But comfort is what lasts. If you can laugh together in the quiet, ordinary moments, doing dishes, walking down the street, sitting in silence, that's where the real magic lives. And the third lesson: be patient. Love that grows slowly often runs deeper. It gives both people the chance to show up as they truly are, without rushing, without pretending. And when you allow that kind of patience, you often discover a depth you didn't expect. So let me ask you again, have you ever had a connection that came out of nowhere and completely surprised you? Maybe it didn't look like much at first, but later you realized it was something special? These are the moments that remind us that love doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes, it whispers. And that's exactly what Johnny experienced. A quiet whisper. A spark without expectation. A love that didn't come from chasing, but from simply noticing. So here's the takeaway. You don't have to chase love. You don't have to force it. You don't have to script it like a movie. Sometimes, the most beautiful love stories are the ones you never planned, the ones that sneak up on you when you're not even looking. And maybe, just maybe, your own story is already unfolding in ways you can't see yet. Maybe that encounter you thought was random wasn't random at all. So I'll leave you with this. Life is unpredictable. Love is unpredictable. And sometimes the best thing we can do is stop searching so hard, and just pay attention. Because you never know, the next ordinary moment might just be the start of something extraordinary. So tell me, have you ever experienced a connection that came out of nowhere and left you speechless? Share it in the comments. I'd love to hear your story, and I think others will too. Because the truth is, we all have these moments, and sharing them reminds us just how magical life can be. And if Johnny's story inspired you today, don't stop here. Check out my next video on Johnny Depp's unexpected love confession. It's the perfect follow-up, and I know you'll find it just as fascinating. And hey, if you enjoyed this conversation, do me a small favor. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with someone who might need a reminder that love often finds us when we least expect it. Because at the end of the day, that's what makes these stories so powerful. They remind us that no matter who we are, whether we're a Hollywood star or just someone living an ordinary life, love doesn't always knock on the door we're watching. Sometimes, it slips in quietly through the one we weren't even paying attention to. And that, my friend, is the beauty of it.